I'd like to call everyone to I'd like to welcome everyone to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, January the 4th, 2021, and also a Happy New Year. First, I'd like to start off with a call of order and roll call. Tim Lovelace.
Here.
Lou Wallace.
Here.
Forrest Christian.
Present.
David Eaton.
Here.
Steve Brady.
Here.
Carl Ray.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Madam, you have a quorum.
Carl, you can hear okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's stand for invitation to remain standing for the pledge. And first, I'd like to have a moment of silence for all of our citizens that we've lost, our friends, our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters. It's a scary time. We don't know what to expect. And we've lost great citizens this week. So let's start with a moment of silence for these folks, please. All right, I'm going to read a prayer for inner strength. Dear God, please give us the strength to endure the situations, to find the blessings and the lessons that they contain. Please give us the endurance to continue ahead. Please give us our thoughts, words, and actions that we may walk with your path of peace and love. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first thing we need to do tonight is to amend our agenda because we had several things that have come through with Katie and Lonzo. The first thing is under Katie will be number 2, the resolution that execution of our transfer agreement for the Russell County PSA. It now has all the corrected dates. There's really no major changes. We've seen it before, but we will need to add that as number 2 under our attorney. We will now have to add under the county administrator, number 8. This also deals with the previous board meeting that we had set for reconvene meeting. So we will need to add that as number 8. And number 9 will be the Geotechnical Evaluation services for the courthouse that came through today. So we do need to add those 3 things. Number 2 under Katie, and number 8 and number 9 under the county administrator. All right.
What did you say number 8 was?
Number 8 is the cancellation. We had set January the 13th as a meeting with the courthouse, but now we have to back it up in February. So we just basically need to discuss that until while we're canceling it. Anything else, Steve? Number 9, got it, okay. All right, at this time, I'll accept a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Chair, make a motion, we amend the agenda as we discussed.
Thank you. Second from Lou. All right, all those in favor, and we do have to do a roll call since Carl is on the phone. So, Tim?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right, we amended our agenda. All right, the first thing we have under public hearings, and until you've got it up, is the VDOT secondary system construction plan for their 6-year plan. Does anyone have any comment? And it is open to
Is
the
anyone
public.
on the line that would like to make a comment concerning the Virginia Department of Transportation 6-year plan?
Anyone call again?
Caller number 1, would you like to speak? Caller number 1, would you like to speak? Yes. Jeff, is that, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Lonzo?
Yes, we can now. Do you want to speak on the 6-year plan? Jeff, do you want to speak on the 6-year plan?
No, I'll just fill in questions the board may have, as we covered last time. You know, not adding any projects this time around. We'll do that in the spring and just sort of complete the process for the fiscal year we're already into.
Just to repeat what Jeff has said, in the county administrator reports in December, I had give you the explanation of what had happened during the pandemic and what VDOT was going to be doing through the CTV board and what we were delaying. I also give you a copy of the 6-year proposed plan, and this is the VDOT's public hearing portion that is mandatory. There is no changes. It is exactly as given before in December is this one too, but this is one of the requirements for the CTV. Do you have anything you want to add, Jeff?
No, we didn't. I had one thing. I had received one call just confirming that Blank Davis Road would stay on the plan, but that's the only public comments that we received here at the office.
Thank you, Jeff.
Anyone have a comment?
Does the board have any
Anything to speak
questions?
to? Any questions?
I'd like to ask a question, Madam Chair. Is the VDOT project for Highway 58, now that's still moving along and we're okay with that, right?
That is the SMART project.
Yes.
SMART, yes, that is still proceeding.
Thank you.
Anything else, Jeff, that you want to convey?
No, we'll just need the resolution and the first page of the plan signed, like you always want to. That's about all I have. We'll get together with you and the board in the coming weeks and months and get ready for the spring here.
Okay. Jeff, we appreciate that, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me there tonight. Couldn't clone myself very well.
It's hard to be in 2 counties at once.
A little hard.
Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys. And if you need something, I'll be here in the office a little bit longer on another meeting. If something pops up, I'll have a phone. Just give me a shout.
Will do. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
You too. Bye.
All right, any other comments? Anyone in the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll close this public comment on the, or public hearing on the secondary road system. All right, the next one is comments on the Russell County Courthouse construction proposals. Is there anyone that needs to comment on that? Anyone have a comment on the construction proposals? All right. Seeing none, we will close that. All right, the next thing on our agenda is the election of chairman, and we'll turn that over to Mr. Lester to open the floor with favor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As part of the organizational meeting, would like to now open the floor for nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Steve Reed.
Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Rebecca Dye.
Are there any other nominations? If not, I move that the nominations be closed.
Do it in reverse order, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Now that the nominations are closed, we will proceed with the vote in reverse order. Rebecca Dye first, beginning first, in reverse order.
Does that nomination
Roll
not need to be
call.
seconded? Does that nomination not need to be seconded?
Jim Lovelace nominated Rebecca Dye, doesn't need to be seconded.
Did I?
Nominations do not.
No, you seconded.
Seconded. Everybody can vote. It's not really a motion, it needs to be seconded to be considered as nominations for the chair.
Yes, and please not shout out in the public. Thank you.
So you need to do a roll call, because
Yes,
he's on the phone.
yes. Carl Ray.
No.
Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes?
Horace Christian.
Is this for Rebecca Dye?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
David Eden.
No.
Steve Brady.
No.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes. All right, next thing we have is our election of a vice chair. So we will open the floor for nominations for the vice chair.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Probably better, since there was a nomination, I feel like there probably should be a vote.
Vote, yes.
For the record.
Okay, didn't that constitute the vote?
There was the vote on, you take them up in reverse order, so we didn't take up the nomination for
For
Mr.
Steve.
Breeden.
Yes.
I mean, I think for the minutes, it needs to
Oh,
show.
Steve, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
If there's two nominations, I think the vote needs to show. both.
Shows the record. Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Lonzo, that's you.
Thank you. This is for nomination of Steve Brady. Carl Ray.
Yes.
Tim Lovelace.
No.
Luann Wallace.
No.
Horace Christian.
No.
David Eden.
Yes.
Steve Brady.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
No.
Rebecca Dye is the chairman of the Russell County Board of Supervisors for the year 2021.
All right,
Madam Chair,
now we'll open the floor for our vice chair.
I turn the chair back over to the chair.
Yes, thank you. All right, at this time, we'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Steve Reed.
Madam Chair, I nominate Tim Lovelace, Vice Chair.
Are there any others? All right, seeing none, we'll close our nominations, and we'll do it in reverse order. All right, all those for Tim Lovelace. Oris,
Yes.
David,
No.
Steve,
No.
Carl,
No.
Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and Rebecca. Yes. All right, all those for Steve. Oris,
No.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Lou,
No.
Carl,
Yes.
Tim,
No.
and Rebecca. No. All right. For our record, Mr. Tim Lovelace will be the vice chair for 2021. All right. Next thing, we have the appointment of our clerk of the board and the deputy clerk. Katie, do we need to have a motion with this?
Yes, this would be not a nomination, but it's not, it's your hiring staff, so it would be a motion to
Okay.
appoint in a second.
All right, do we have a motion for Mr. Lester as our clerk of board and Vicki as the deputy clerk?
So moved.
David, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Some Steve. All right. All those in favor, we will do a roll call. Horace?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right. The next thing on our agenda is the adoption of the Robert's Rules of Order. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Tim? Do we have a second?
Second.
Lou? All right. All those in favor of adopting the Robert's Rules of Order, of how we conduct our business meetings? Horace?
Yes.
David?
You might only have the next call.
Steve?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Vic, I don't think Dave got
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know what it was. We got the phone call here. I got distracted.
What's confusing about
Did you vote yes?
Yes.
it? I did.
Okay. Thanks for the raise. I'm just kidding.
All right.
We must get a better PA system.
We have one order. All right, the fifth thing is a motion for the adoption of the county bylaws. Do we have a motion to accept our county bylaws?
So moved.
Is that David?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Second, and Lou is a second. All right, all those in favor of this motion, utilize our county bylaws. Horace?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Tim?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right, number 6 is the motion to accept the calendar for our regular meeting schedule. That's the Mondays of each month. Unless otherwise, something happens, we have to change like their business. So, do we have a motion to accept this calendar for our regular monthly meetings?
So moved.
David, thank you. Second? Carl, thank you.
Madam Chairman, I apologize to interrupt, but in looking at the meeting schedule, it states 6 o'clock, and I know typically tonight we do not have a need for executive session, but I would suggest that you amend that, the meetings will start at 5, because most times we do need executive session. Otherwise, you would have to, set the meeting at every meeting.
Well, the meeting's not, for executive session, it's not for the public. So we need to designate 5 o'clock for executive, stating that, and 6 o'clock for regular session meeting.
Well, you don't have to state that in this, just that the meetings would start then.
At 5.
Because even though the public is not invited into executive session, they still are entitled to notice that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the public aware that 5 o'clock usually was for executive session.
Yes, I mean, that's the general rule. You're not going to conduct business until 6, and your agenda will always say that, but I think just to be correct, you'll need to amend that to be 5.
I'll amend that motion to state that our executive session meetings usually start at 5 and regular session meetings at 6.
Thank you, David. All right, everyone hear that? We will amend that to state as our legal advisement. So,
Madam Chair, may we continue discussion on this? I know this is like mundane, but the dates, one of the dates is directly a 4th of July holiday. The other one is an Easter, considered to be an Easter holiday. Do we just go ahead and adopt this and change it
I think we
when
do.
get there?
I think it's what I've always.
Is that what we've been doing?
that's what
I
we
think
do.
just so the public knows that it's supposed to occur on the first Monday of every month. For example, I think my request to the board is going to be to move the February 1st meeting to February 8th.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have a continued meeting, but just so the public can be aware that the meetings are generally going to take place on the first Monday.
That helps me, explains it very nicely, thank you. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, all those in favor with David's amendment on the calendar? Oris?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Tim?
Yes.
And Rebecca, yes. All right. The next thing we have is our new business, and that is with Katie. You want to speak to the First Amendment sanctuary resolution?
I'm happy to. I don't know if Mr. Breeding wants to.
Well, yeah, this is what I told you at the last meeting, that Governor Martin did what he said he was going to do, and he did. That I was going to bring this First Amendment resolution back to you. So I took the Campbell County resolution, marked out Campbell County, and wrote in Russell County, gave it to Katie, and she edited it to make sure that we weren't doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. And we came up with what Katie has approved tonight. So I'd be happy to read that, if that's okay.
Do we all have a copy of it?
No, it's something I've been working on the last few days, and I've got
You
it.
gave her back up.
Good copy.
Lonzo, I think, has sent it out. And I just sent it to him late this afternoon after the revisions because Mr. Breeding had asked me to look into it and make sure that it would not, if there was any provisions that I had concerns about, and so I got that to him, and he reviewed the provisions. So I don't know that any of the board members have had a chance to see it yet, so it's just something that I have looked at.
Mrs. Law, I laid one on your desk, but I know you have not had time. Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
I'd like to read this, at least for the public. This is First Amendment Sanctuary Resolution, Russell County Board of Supervisors. Whereas the Constitution of Virginia, Article 1, Section 1 states that all men are by nature equally free and independent, have certain inherent rights, of which when they enter into a state of society, they cannot, by any compact, deprive or divest their posterity, namely the employment, enjoyment of life and liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and attaining happiness and safety. And whereas the Constitution of Virginia, Article 1, Section 12 states that the freedoms of speech and press are among the great bulwarks of liberty and can never be restrained except by despotic governments, that the citizens may freely speak, write, and publish his sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of that right, that the General Assembly shall not pass any law abridging the freedom of speech or press, nor the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievance. And whereas Governor Northman, through an unlegislated order, is prohibiting the gathering of more than 10 citizens at a single time, and whereas the opinion of the Russell County Board of Supervisors is this order violates the Constitution of Virginia, Article 1, Sections 1 and 12, and whereas the Russell County Board of Supervisors disagrees that the governor's order complies with the requirements of the Constitution of Virginia, more specifically Article 1 and 2, which states that the power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. The magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. And whereas the Russell County Board of Supervisors wishes to express its deep commitment to the freedoms enumerated in the Bill of Rights, including the rights of citizens of Russell County to peaceably assemble and to engage in commerce for the financial support of themselves and their families. And whereas the Russell County Board of Supervisors wish to express opposition to any order or law that may unconstitutionally restrict the rights of the citizens of Russell County. And whereas the Russell County Board of Supervisors wishes to express its intent to stand as a sanctuary county for the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, and to oppose within the limits of the Constitution of the United States and the Commonwealth of Virginia any efforts to unconstitutionally restrict such rights and to use such legal means at its disposal to protect the rights of the citizens of Russell County to freely exercise their religion, to peaceably assemble, to freely engage in commerce, to free movement of persons, and any other individual liberty recognized as belonging to the people. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Russell County, Virginia, that number one, Russell County Board of Supervisors hereby declares Russell County, Virginia as a First Amendment sanctuary and expresses its intent to uphold the First Amendment and other clearly established rights of the people of Russell County. Number two, the Russell County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses its intent that no Russell County funds will be used to violate the First Amendment and other clearly established rights of the people of Russell County. Number three, the Russell County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses its intent to pursue all legal avenues to protect the First Amendment and other clearly established rights of the people of Russell County. Number four, the Russell County Board of Supervisors supports its local law enforcement who support clearly established rights of the people and pledges to work in conjunction with the sheriff to pursue all legal avenues to ensure the First Amendment and other clearly established rights of the people of Russell County are protected and preserved. And then there's just certification of adoption resolutions. Clerk of the board signs this, and there's a place to register the vote. And having read that, I want to make a motion that the board approves this.
I'll second.
Madam Chair, at this time, I would like to offer a subsidiary motion to postpone the current motion indefinitely due to the fact that I have not seen or reviewed this document.
I have a motion on the floor.
I have a subsidiary motion. Okay.
I think that's probably proper, but I would really have to look that up to see the procedure. I mean, I guess if there wants to be discussion, I will say that I have been working with Mr. Breeding to make revisions to the resolution. So I am aware that most of the board have not seen it. So I mean, I understand if there are other questions with me. I know I've talked to Mr. Breeding about the originally proposed resolution and my revisions, but I would understand if other board members have questions of me. So I mean, but I'll be happy to look that up. I mean, I do think probably that's, you know, I think that's there for the procedure to allow a motion to not die for the resolution is on the floor. That way, if it is tabled, that it can be brought back up at a later date, as opposed to just being a resolved issue.
So should we do these motions in reverse order as to vote on Lou's first?
I don't think there's been a second to, was there a second to Lou's motion? Yes, Mr. Eaton.
I made a second. I second Steve.
My motion.
Steve.
Oh, okay.
No, I second Steve's, because he made the first one.
Yeah, I asked if there was a
I have a
second.
question, Sue. Ought we be allowed to discuss this before we actually take a vote?
Yeah,
That's why we have
need,
it
yeah,
open for discussion.
we're open for, we need a second on Lou's, if anybody's
It's open
going to
for
second it.
discussion right now.
And then we'll have the floor open for discussion.
And I guess maybe it may be more proper to have, you know, some, you know, I understand if there are board members that don't feel like they have enough information, you know, it may be difficult to have the discussion, but if you all want to go ahead and do that, and the motion's properly on the floor, it may resolve some of the, it can potentially resolve some of the need for that motion. So I guess that would be my advice at this point, is to go ahead and have discussion.
Do we need a second on Lou's right now?
Do we not address the first motion first, and need to vote it up or down?
I think, again, this is not an issue that comes up typically in board meetings, but I think the purpose of Ms. Wallace's motion, which is why I think it's probably proper under the rules, is it would, if there was not a passing of this action, that it would not just be dead, to be not brought up, but to be reconsidered at another time. So that's why I believe, again, while this has not been a specific issue that I have addressed before, I believe that that would be correct under Robert's rules, because Robert, in my experience with Robert's rules, it's designed to allow matters to be continue to another time and not just a vote yes or no and then that's it. Because at that point, the board is resolved to not, to either do something or not do something, and that allows something to be carried over. But again, I don't know if discussion on your motion, Steve, will allow some of the issues to be resolved for that.
So we need a second on Lou's motion, correct?
It's not that complicated. I mean, it's pretty standard.
Well, I would like to say this, I am not in favor of keep restricting people of doing things when it's not necessary. We have had imposed upon us things, and they said medical, and some of this has been proven, it's not medical, it's just evidently government control, want control over the people. And I use the example, if you set a mouse trap with cheese or peanut butter, that mouse is going to be enticed to go out and get that. It may get his life taken. And we need to watch all these different things that they want to do to entice us to give in to our lives, liberty, and freedom. So I find this here right here, if we as a board can do something to relax this, then we need to take those steps. We're not lawmakers, so I don't know that we can do what the general public may want us to do. But we do need to not keep giving in to a takeover if we can do something about it.
And Madam Chair, and Mr. Brink, I have reviewed, I've pulled up and reviewed Robert's Rules of Order, and subsidiary motions are allowed for reasons. One is to postpone indefinitely, one is to amend, and without having that looked up previous to this event, I figured that was probably proper because it allows for actions to be continued as opposed to just being, I guess,
I need
dead
a
on.
second on that motion.
Yes, you need a second.
All right, so do we have a second on Lou's motion?
Second.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, I didn't get to hear a whole lot of Lou's motion. Can she repeat that or something?
Yeah, Lou, you want to repeat it?
I can. I make a motion, a subsidiary motion, to postpone the current motion indefinitely due to the fact that I have not had time or seen or reviewed the current document.
Okay.
Have you, Carl?
Carl, do you have
Thank you.
do you have a copy of this?
No, I don't.
Okay. So,
I haven't seen it either.
okay. So Katie, just leave the floor open for more discussion, or should I go ahead and take a vote on the motions in reverse order?
I think discussion can be open. I mean, Lou's motion is to postpone it indefinitely. Obviously, any board member can speak to that if they want to. And then obviously the vote would be on her motion first because it directly affects the main motion which was made by Mr. Breeding. So, but I do think it's open to the board to discuss, their either agreement or opposition to Ms. Wallace's motion.
All right, any board
I
member,
don't
any
think
further
we
discussion?
need to just postpone it indefinitely, but I would like for everybody to have an opportunity to review it. Carl hadn't even seen it.
Well,
Please.
that's my thought also. I didn't have it, I haven't seen a copy of it till this evening, but that's something that I will read and review for myself, because it is very troubling times for our citizens. And I know our hairdressers are open, the gyms are open, and our small business people are hurting, but we need to read it and go back over it some more.
Yes, and no one is saying that it does not contain what the First Amendment Constitution says. No one is denying that. But to have a document brought before the Board of Supervisors where maybe a certain faction have seen it, I don't know, but I totally disagree with that. And I understand that we're in hard times here with our attorneys and the problems that we've had. We're just coming out of the holidays. So there's not anything wrong with this. It's just that it's not been done in the daylight that everybody wants to see it done in. So that is my subsidiary motion, and I stand with
Well,
that.
my position is that I told you it was going to happen last month. And please explain to me this indefinitely. How does that work, Kelly? How is it brought back?
You know, and that's something that's allowed under Robert's rules to postpone indefinitely. I think there would have to be a motion to move it to, it would either have to be, I really think it would take an action item for this board to vote to take it up. I mean, I don't even think that it would be, if this board votes to postpone this matter indefinitely, I don't think it's even proper for the chairperson to set it on the agenda next time. I think it would take board action to reconsider it. So a motion would need to be made to reconsider, or not really reconsider because you're not changing it, but to take up that matter again. Basically, it allows, you know, kind of in the situation where there may be people that would like to ask more questions, are not ready to vote no, but are not ready to vote yes. It allows it to remain as.
So it can be indefinitely drug out.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Just saying I'm not ready to do this.
You can also postpone it for a period of time. I mean, that's an option under Robert's rules too. That's not, your only option is to postpone it indefinitely. So that you can postpone it to a certain time. That's the motion.
Well, I don't like the word indefinitely, and it's my opinion that we do a disservice to the citizens of the county if we don't act on this.
We're not getting rid of the Constitution. The United States Constitution still stands. The rights of the citizens sitting in this room tonight are very clear. We all have our rights. We're not doing away with any rights at all.
Katie, you have checked this and all the references to the Constitution. You are correct.
I did review the resolution, and that was the first thing I did was to make sure that the Constitution was quoted correctly because I did not draft it. It was, I will state, you know, I definitely understand all the citizens' frustration and need to do this, but I will also say from an attorney's perspective and a legal perspective that the First Amendment is complicated and constitutionality of laws cannot be determined by a local board of supervisors. It can only, even if there are laws that are unconstitutional, until they're adjudicated as so by a court of competent jurisdiction, local, you know, law enforcement and boards aren't allowed to say. They can have their opinion, which is why I did draft that it's the opinion. But as far as the law, that's the legal process of doing that. So I mean, the Constitution is stated correctly, but there are other concerns that I did consider when I made that edit for this. So, you know, I guess I just want to try to convey it's not as simple as I think we would all like it to be. It's a little bit more complicated legally.
Well, let me say something too, since we're in discussion. I think a lot of it, why other counties are doing this and why Steve, I think, has brought this before our board is because of the consolidation of efforts between counties to not let the governor overstep his bounds and take such direct actions against the citizens. And just like our chair lady said a minute ago, you might go here and there, but you can't go somewhere else. And she made that statement. And it's unfair, and there's a lot of unfair practices that's taking place. Is he overstepping the law? And I think it takes an effort to show a consolidation of counties that are willing to go ahead and say, we support the Constitution, we support the rights of law, we respect the rights of our citizens, and we want them to be able to
All it says.
and that's all it says. It's not that complicated. I mean, I just read it, and I mean, I don't see why you need to make a motion to have something indefinitely suspended when all this does is just say that we're in support of the citizens of our locality, and we're going to consolidate with other counties to fight off this aggressive state of the governor of what he's trying to do. And I'm definitely in support of this, and I would like the board to take this into consideration because I think this means a lot, not to just our board, but to the citizens of the county.
I think it means a whole lot to the citizens of the county, but I think to pander to a certain faction of people is wrong, because we need to represent all the people. And I'm here representing all the people in
So are we.
District 2.
So are we.
And so those folks have reached, I've had some folks reach out to me and ask me exactly what this is, and when your district supervisor can't tell you what is on the agenda and what is supposed to be read, then I think I need more time, so I've asked for that. I got a second. Indefinitely does not mean indefinite, I'm not quoting, I have an attorney here for that.
Well, we have comments,
Let's have, if we're ready, if any more board members have any discussion. All right, in reverse order of the motions for subsidiary motion by Lou, all those in favor, is that reverse order, correct, Katie? Or
Well, I
Lou's
mean,
order first?
it's not so much reverse order as you have to take up the subsidiary motion
Sure.
before you can take up the main motion.
Okay, all right. The second motion from Lou. Those that are in favor, Tim,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
David,
No.
Horace,
No.
Rebecca, yes. All right, now we need to do Steve's motion.
No, you don't do
Because
that.
this is it.
That's just
it.
killing my motion.
Because if you took up Steve's motion, then it would be resolved one way or the other, and this allows it to continue to be brought back up.
Okay. All right. All right, the second thing under new business is the approval of our minutes from our last board meeting, which was December the 9th. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes as last? Yes.
I found a
Error.
error in did you change that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was on the transfer of property approval. It was listed as approval to transfer the property from the IDA to the county, and it was actually transferred to the IDA.
From Board of Supervisors
That
today.
has been changed, so I'll make a motion. We approve those minutes.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Tim? All right, all those in favor of accepting our minutes from last month? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Horace?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. Third thing is the approval of our expenditures for the month. We need a motion to accept our expense, paying our
So moved.
bills.
So moved.
David, thank you. You have a second?
Second.
Carl, thank you.
Question.
Yes,
This is to Mr. Lester. I had some highlighted in my board book, and those highlighted, what was that? Was that intentionally highlighted for us to pick up on?
No, ma'am, that was a conversation between me and the chair.
Okay, okay, all right. But that, one of those payments was to our veterinarian,
Yeah,
correct?
yes, ma'am.
I
That
did
is
not
correct.
recognize, she's a lady that hyphenates her name, and I didn't know, that's why I asked him what that was.
Okay, thank you.
She hyphenates her name, and I didn't recognize it. All right, any other question, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of paying our bills for the month? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
And Orris?
Yes.
Rebecca? Yes. The fourth thing is to authorize payments. That's a list of our routine monthly payments to delegate authorization for them to be paid in case we get behind on our board meetings. Such, the electric bill, insurance, things like that have to be taken care of every month. So do we have a motion to authorize this list of payments on our routine monthly bills?
So moved.
Tim, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Lou, any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Oris.
Yes.
Rebecca, yes. All right, the next thing is to consider their appointments for consideration, the Budget and Finance Committee. This is appointment by the chair, and I will appoint myself and Tim Lovelace to the Budget and Finance Committee for this next year. And Mr. Breeden, if you don't care, I'm going to leave you on the insurance budget, you and Tim on the insurance.
Because we will be renegotiating this year.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you, appreciate that.
All right, the next one is a Spearhead Trailblazers Board appointment. I think this is a new one for us. And,
Question.
yes,
What, is this the same as Spearhead Trail? Is this different? It's the
No.
same board?
It's the same board. I do believe it's kind of like a friends of, the way I understood it when the gentleman came and spoke the last time. It's like a friends
Who
of,
is Kelsey King?
she's in your district. She was Miss Russell County.
She was Miss
Fair.
Russell County
She
Fair.
has a, she,
I just haven't seen the form on it. I didn't know.
yeah.
Kelsey supplied a, didn't we have that in our packet a couple of months ago, Mr. Lester?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the gentleman came last month, Mr. Lamb, I believe.
Should have been in
is
this
his name.
pack.
Yeah, it should
Yes.
have been.
Should have been in this pack.
All right, so do we have a motion to appoint her to the Spearhead Trailblazer Board?
Well, I'll make the motion, and give a little more explanation if we need a second. I guess we need a second on that.
She's appointment.
Yes, that's, it's not really a nomination, it's a motion to appoint.
Appoint her. Okay.
So we need a
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
And for discussion, the Spearhead Trailblazers is a, like the nonprofit side of the Friends, like when you have a state park, you have a Friends of the State Park. So Trailblazers has, this is their little Trailblazers, I think it's their Friends of, if that gives you a little more explanation, was what I got from the conversation I had with Mr. Lamb.
I would like to, honestly, I'd like to postpone this and have her come and do a presentation to our board to see what Spearhead, what the activity's gonna be like in Russell County. I've not seen them do very much here.
Mr. Lamb told us that last time, I believe.
I know, but I've not seen any activity as far as what, I rode out 125 miles of trail and we gave them a designated map plan and everything in my district. And all I know is they wanted money, but they didn't want to provide the information of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and there was a big concern about right-of-ways, I remember up there.
Yeah, but we got those resolved.
That should be from Sean Lindsay, the director, if you want something, I think, from that. I think the board should hear from those.
Well, does this representative take this information back to Sean to help us work on these?
The Trailblazers work on the trails. They are Friends of the Trail. They're not the board. We have a board, member, his name is Teddy Clevenger, who represents Russell County's on the Spearhead Board of Directors.
Whatever. Got a lot of boards.
All right,
So do we
so we need a vote now, Katie, for her appointment?
Unless there's a subsidiary vote.
All right.
Need to know.
All those in favor of Kelsey King being appointed to this board? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl? Yes. Steve?
I'm going to abstain because I just don't feel like I didn't see the sheet if it was in the packet, and I felt like it should have been in this one if we're going to address it. So I'll just abstain, nothing against Kelsey, and maybe, Greg, just let me know some more about it.
All right, thanks. David?
Nothing against Kelsey, but I'm gonna abstain until I get further information. I didn't see anything in the packet.
And Oris?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right, next we will open the floor to citizens' comments. And the first one I have Judy Ray by phone. Did she?
She did call him.
She did earlier. Address is 636 Homeacre. And she was wanting to know if that road is on the 6-year plan for paving. Is she still on the phone?
It was today.
Today? Okay.
What number is today?
All right, next we have Michelle Vance, 99 Willow Springs Drive, 11, and it just says several topics. So if you want to state each one of them, I'll write it down for you. 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Yep. Happy New Year. First, I want to say I was very, very disappointed in the votes tonight. I thought that I had voted people into office who were conservative Republicans, obviously not. I've missed the last couple meetings because I was sick with COVID, but I have watched. I had a few things. Not sure if they really matter since I voted for non-conservative Republicans. And the first one is Just Powers. I was wondering why he's not salary, why he's hourly and making all this overtime. So that's one of my questions that I'd like to have looked into. There's only 2 people here really that I trust to give me that answer. Second thing, which really is going to be the only other thing, and it's going to tie into Steve's Amendment 1 thing here. Last month, Mr. Eaton asked for more time on the ordinance issue so that he could look into it further. He was not given that accommodation. Everybody just took Katie's word for it, that she knew everything that was going on and what was in there, and that it was truthful, and that we could do it. And all voted yes. I'm a small business owner. It's killing me. This is killing me. The only thing this amendment does is know that you guys are behind us. That's all it does. We know that it doesn't do anything legally. We know that. We want to know that you are behind us. But obviously tonight, it is loud and clear that the majority of you are not.
Yep.
Next, we have Kelly Dale with the Imagination Library. P.O. Box 54511. Sorry, Kelly.
That's okay. I'm wearing my Imagination Library hat. It looks just like my regular one. I wanted to say thank you. The Imagination Library did receive a little bit of money from the Board of Supervisors, and I wanted to say thank you for whoever made that happen. You know, it's been a rough year. We were doing okay and thought we might get ahead, and then, you know, we didn't have a lot of fundraisers. And so I just want to say I appreciate that. And if I could take off the Imagination Library hat and put on the Kelly McBride, who lives at a P.O. Box in Castlewood, 735. I would just say that one reason for postponing it is so you can get public comment on it. When I was listening and looking at the resolutions for the proposed ordinance, number 3 had take all legal action that could be taken. And my thought was, take all legal action, that equals spend money, right? And just wondered, that's the thing that I think of, because I know that from my perspective, the county doesn't have enough money to put into some of the things I think they need to, you know. We now have more physical space than the physical space, the facility staff can keep up with. I routinely have a list of things that, you know, and Mr. Lester comes once a year, or, you know, and walks around and looks to see what needs to be done, and we're always behind, because there's more to do than there is money and time to do it. So I think that is a valid reason for at least waiting until next month and fine-tuning to like, well, okay, what action would that resolve number 3 actually do? how would that play out? And I would be curious to know that. But, thank you.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
All right. Our second sheet is Mr. Nate Kaiser, 918 Valley Road.
Good evening, board. Here. I am probably in the same boat as Michelle Vance, as very disappointed in the board for not taking up the First Amendment resolution and adopting it. I understand there may be some concerns and questions from the board. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple thing. And we had plenty of time here to discuss and have any questions answered. I knew about this, that this was going to happen over a month ago. And I published it out on Facebook, on my side, the Republican side, to make sure that people knew to be here, to have public comment, to address the woman's concern, public comment. To push it out indefinitely is a little ridiculous. I can see table it to the next meeting. In fact, Mr. Lovelace did bring that up, to table it to not indefinitely, but then he also still seconded that motion and make it indefinite. So my understanding from Ms. Patton is that it's going to actually have a vote to being brought up back into a motion. If I understand that correctly, is that right? To be indefinite, it's actually got to have a vote to get back into a motion. That's correct. Okay. So we're just creating more hurdles. Now, the people who are really hurting from this are the small businesses. And all this statement is saying exactly like Michelle said, that our Board of Supervisors is behind our small businesses and willing to go to bat for them, whatever the cost. Damn the cost. Damn the cost. Because it's costing a lot more in jobs and the people's lives. We've got small businesses that will close up for good. People will have to leave. Your tax base will shrink. But we're going to table that indefinitely. Disappointing, to say the very least. And you all know how I feel about the chairman, vice chairman situation. Very disappointed, but I hate to say it, it's what I expected.
All right, we have Mr. Sean Vance, 99 Willow Springs, but there's no subject for discussion.
Well, you know how it is, I just bounce around a little bit. Nate, my wife, covered it pretty much well. I was a little disappointed. What I'm really disappointed is a little bit was already brought up. Because I was here last month's meeting when they were about the soil and erosion control. And Mr. Dave and Mr. Orris both said, you did not read it, you did not have the comprehension we needed to vote on it, and the rest of you voted them down without even thinking twice about it. But this time it seems, since some people might have needed some votes to be part of the chair or vice chair, that some favors might have been done. And that's the way it seems to me. Can't speak for the rest of them, but that's the way it seems to me. Now, Mr. Tim, I'm in his district, at least when it was his district. And hopefully that changes. For the ones who stuck with us, I appreciate it.
Next one is Jess Powers, 94 Russell Street, 11. Declarations of emergencies.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I wanted to come and approach the board tonight because back in November, Supervisor Eaton made a proposal or a motion to hire a full-time deputy coordinator. 3 weeks later, I was called to the county administrator's office and said there was not going to be any movement on that motion, even though it was unanimous with the board. So I was asked to prepare a proposal to the board, which I presented last month on December the 9th, for instead of having a full-time deputy coordinator, hiring a part-time deputy coordinator, and use that person as necessary and not have the expense of the benefits for the full-time deputy coordinator. To give you an idea, Russell County Emergency Management has been allocated $822,000 in assistance for PPE, salaries, grants, floods. There is a backlog of 574 hours. And to answer Mrs. Vance's question is that if I am a salary employee, I cannot bill my time to those grants, to that reimbursement, or to FEMA, or to the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. So far this year, we have billed $74,000 of my time. That's a lot more than I make. That also includes my benefits. So it is very advantageous to the county for me to be not salary, but non-exempt, or we would lose all of this money that is coming into the county. If you look at the CARES Act, Russell County Emergency Management received $145,000. That includes a lot of PPE, but that is pale in comparison to the $335,000 that we have received in PPE from the state. And those are items that we cannot buy with the county because those items are not available on the general market, like N95s. We had to have a
Mr.
court.
Bowers,
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize, but since you are speaking during citizens' comment, we would have to limit you as we would anyone else.
Sorry.
Obviously, if there's discussion and to be on the agenda in another matter, but since you are under this section, we would have to abide by that.
Sorry.
So
Thank you.
my question
3
is,
minutes. All right, next, we have Mr. Lynn Hess, 137 Oakland Road, Swords Creek. And it says many, so if you'll list, I'll write it down for you.
Most of them's already been discussed, Madam Chairman, and the board. I'm very disappointed in our so-called Republican board members here tonight for not putting a Republican in that chair and in the vice chair. And I guarantee you I will dedicate, and I really hate doing this, but I really want to take my time and make sure the next time you're up for board that I will campaign against you. That's a pledge that I make because you're not holding to the party that you said that you're supposed to be holding to. And as far as the amendment that Steve brought up, did he not just sit there and read every bit of it? If you pay attention to what he was reading instead of doodling with whatever you're doodling, you'd know what he was talking about. And they could have passed this amendment tonight, which would have supported the people of Russell County. I'm a pastor of a small church in David Eaton's district, and it affects us also, what the governor is doing to our communities. For no sense at all. There's no reason for it. It's just because he's a Democrat and you're backing him up. I'm very disappointed in you. This is our county, and you know that I'm new into this politics thing. I showed up about a year ago on the Second Amendment thing and was very shocked at what's going on in my county, and I'm trying to get it over to other people so that they can see what's going on. And I'm going to try my best, but it's not going to be politics as usual. Thank you.
All right, that's 2 pages that we've received. Is there anyone else in the public that'd like to get up and speak? Yes, sir. If you'll come out and give us your name and your address.
My name is Larry Hughes, and address is 30 Whitehall Drive in Russell County. I just want to say that I'm appalled. I'm a small business owner, and I can tell you, I'm suffering. We're suffering bad. I was threatened by the state police to take me to jail if I didn't shut down. I talked to an attorney that morning when the First Amendment, or the first ordinance come out. I talked to her in the morning. I said, can we stay open based on what we were doing, he said, yes, there's no problem. But the state troopers come in that night and said, you either shut down or we take you to jail. That's what it is. That's what this is all about. I've dug into my pocket, my personal savings down to keep my workers working. Probably $10,000 right now, $15,000 so far right now. It's killing me. It's going to shut us down. And then you stay here and you say, we're going to postpone it indefinitely. Put yourself in our shoes one time and try to live as a small business owner. I'm one of the people you talk about. Again, they shut us down, but they allow people in other counties to stay open. Same business, same entities, but we were shut down. Thank you for taking the time to speak with you. But I will remember the next election.
All right, is there anyone else? Any other citizens' comment? All right, seeing none, we will close it. Our next item is our constitutional officers and reports and requests. I'll see one here. All right, next is our county attorney's reports and requests.
Yes, Madam Chair. The first thing I have for the board's consideration tonight is, and I actually don't have the agreement for the board tonight. They've got it listed as a capacity agreement, but it's really more of a moral obligation agreement that rural development needs from the Board of Supervisors regarding the debt load the PSA has. I spoke with Dwight Pearson from Rural Development on Thursday, and I think we've gotten clarification of what we need to have certain language that basically just assures them that the debt's going to be paid. The understanding that there's a period of 3 years where that amount will be different, and he at least represented to me that should not be a problem. But Lonzo and I do need to get together and get the wording fixed before we consider that. Dwight had told me it would have to be sent to their office in Richmond to have whatever proposed language I have reviewed. So we'll hopefully be able to get that draft done and sent and approved by Rural Development for the board's consideration at the February meeting.
So you don't need any action for now till y'all finish up the wording of it?
No, but I think we've got, there were some issues with being able to agree to what they were asking us, and I don't think that's going to be a problem now. So that's good. So that agreement should be ready to go for the board's consideration in February.
All right. Because you do have a closing date now, and everything's moving on.
Yes, this is separate from that. It's not contingent. This does not have to be approved prior to closing.
Okay. All right, the second thing was, what was added is the resolution of execution of the transfer agreement.
Yes, ma'am. I worked with Carter Brothers, who was the bond counsel for the VRA debt, and because there has been changes made to all of the transfer documents, to the transfer agreement, to the debt schedules to reflect the new debt, we thought it would be best for the boards, both this board and the PSA board, to pass a resolution accepting this final draft so that there's no confusion over which agreement would control. Again, it's been a while since I discussed with the board, but the only really significant change that was made to the transfer agreement was dealing with the leachate, and I think I discussed that for the board, and I think we probably even approved that transfer agreement back in August, but I just want to make sure that we have, going forward, this is the date that all those agreements are approved. I would ask you to approve this resolution and the agreement subject to my final approval, as there is a typo in the resolution. It references the prior resolution instead of the joint resolution.
Is that the resolution that Lonzo just passed?
Yes, he would have gotten to you late this evening. It's basically just a clarification of where we came, that we started in December of 2019, and acknowledges that there were changes made up until this point. So that way, again, I didn't want there to be any question that we had only approved a prior agreement and not the one that was finally approved by Rural Development and VRA.
That's all. It's ready to go. It's finalized. You need our motion to approve.
And just subject to final approval of legal counsel, so I can make that change.
All right, thank you, Steve. You looked at it. You're good. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, David. Any further discussion by board members?
I'd just like to say that this has been a point of indigestion for me, and this is a large debt that we're taking on as a county, and I have appreciated some of the work that's been done, and I have not appreciated. So, just for clarification, I'm not a real happy camper over how the thing went down, but we'll move forward. That's all, Madam Chair.
All right, so the motion by Steve and seconded by David, it is to approve this resolution, final legal review. Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl? Carl?
Yes.
Thank you. Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. Thank you. All right, next we have our, is nothing else, Ms. Katie, correct? That's it.
Nothing under me.
All right, next we have our county administrators' reports and requests. Mr. Lester?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe we have the new sound system by the time of the next meeting. We got it ordered, everything is on hold. Some of these things are coming in late. We apologize. First of all, the county administrator reports, of course, is, again, it's that time of the year of legislation, and, we're going to, greatly miss Mr. Ben Chafin, Senator Chafin, during this time. This is when we all usually come together in Richmond to, sit down and go through the laws and what legislation that greatly benefits Russell County. And we all come together and work out what's best for all of us. So again, we're going to greatly miss it. First up on, again, the 2021 VACO VML VA DPC, which is the planning district, and the Virginia Rural Center, this is local government day. This is on Thursday, January the 28th, from 9 to 11. Due to, of course, the limited capacity COVID concerns, they are having it online. So as we have sent out the information, so all board members that want to attend, and I'm pretty sure that there's also a link in there if anyone from the general public wants to come, watch it. Also, there's a general public one on there too. It will go through the 29th, March the 12th, and April the 30th, as you'll see from the chairperson. These are the institutions through the full calendar. So I have put a VACO 2021 legislative program at the agenda that was adopted and what the table of contents. It will go through the economic development, planning, education, energy subcommittees, environment and agriculture, finance, general government, health and human services, and of course transportation. Anybody wants a copy of that, I'll be glad to send it to them electronically, or if they want to, they can go on to the VACO website, Virginia Association of Counties, and you can pull it down too. Next on the county administrator reports is, again, more reporting. This is the state and local economic interest and financial disclosure statements. That's a requirement every year. Just as a reminder to get those in, we need them by February 1st. The earlier the better, but we have to have them all in hand from all the boards and all the committees by no later than February 1st. Of course, the next one on the county administrator reports is, and it's a little late, but as of course, board supervisors, this is an extension on the expenditures of the Kronos relief funds that have been extended to December the 31st, 2020 and 21. Right now, currently, our funds that have been expended through the Kronos viruses, there's very residual or very ones that are obligated for purchase orders are only one that's remaining. I will have a full report to the board. Right now, we are submitting as of tomorrow by midnight to the accounts of public account, the auditors of public accounts and Department of Accounts. So I will have a formal listing of how we allocated our CARES funds for the next board meeting for that. So it's been extended, but we have no funds. That's what I'm trying to get to say. And that depends upon, of course, the new House and the new Senate. So right now, that's the current financial status of it, and I'll have a full detailed report for the next board meeting. Next on the county administrator reports is the GIS system. Currently, the county has a system that there is a fee for. It's on an annual basis, and it's for used by attorneys and engineers and surveyors and etc. And also, there has been a request to the Board of Supervisors to look into a general portal for the general public, for general information. And we are currently going through those characteristics and looking at other counties and what's available through theirs and general portals characteristics, and we should have a good tempo for the board to approve here within the next board meeting. So I'll have a check-off list for what the general public, and then of course what is for professionals, from the attorneys and the engineers and surveyors. But the way it will look, you'll have one access when you go onto our website. If you've ever been on it, it'll have access. It'll say general public access, and then it'll have a professional logo. This is Interactive GIS, which does some of the counties. It does Washington County. If you want to look at it in the free time, if you go on Washington County's GIS system, they have both portals. So next is the county administrator request, of course, and again, it's the fiscal year. Again, this is part of that legislation to Richmond. This is also not a time, it was also a time for legislation, but it was also a time to try to get funds. I don't know which one took precedence, we go over there trying to get what we done, but really, you were going to committee to committee, to department to department, to agency, see how much funding you could get within 3 days. And Russell County always did well at it. If you look back at the allocations appropriations that we've had, this board has done well. I mean, they have got a lot done. It's difficult. There's 95 counties in the state of Virginia. We're competing with all 95 at all times. So again, and I actually have a grant here later, but on the first request, the fiscal year 2021-22 budget meeting schedule, I need a motion for approval for this schedule.
Do we have a motion to accept this timeline for all agencies to get their needs and wishes? Kelly, that includes you, for the next fiscal year. So do we have a motion to accept this schedule that has been created?
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Lou? All right. All those in favor? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator. Carl.
This is hard. I feel sorry for him.
Next on the county administrator request is the Russell County disposal truck purchase and replacement. To go into detail on that one, this is the one up for replacement is the current disposal truck that we have on rotation every 2 years, where we buy one, we sell one with very little impact to the budget. It keeps them on rotation, it keeps them out of warranty. It costs us like on an average of $20,000 a year to maintain a truck that we have two right now. It was great cost savings to the county when we implemented recommended, but again, with, that is for the replacement of this one, that's $160,000, but I also have a request in for a purchase of a new one. This purchase of a new truck, if what has been discussed in the other meetings, the Dane Sewer Treatment Plant is looking at a DHCD grant for all of it of about approximately $2 million. This is a truck to handle the leachate. Currently, the Russell County Board of Supervisors contracts this out and it's costing us up to $80,000 a year. This would alleviate that and bring it to in-house services, and it would be able to pay for the truck itself, just us taking it back over, and the driver within a 2-year period. So from a cost-beneficial perspective, I'm asking for the replacement and the purchase of a new one on this motion. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, so we need a motion to, this is the annual replacement that we do every 2 years on their current trucks, and then to purchase a new additional truck. So do we have a motion for this request?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Thank you, Tim. Second, Carl. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, Tim?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Horace?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, as mentioned before, next on the county administrator request is of course the DCGS, the Violence Against Women Act grant, in a total of $57,028. I need a motion for the acceptance and appropriation of this federal funds
So moved.
for this program.
Second.
David? Thank you. Steve? Thanks. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting this grant money? Tim?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Horace?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, on the county administrator request is a motion to cancel the reconvened meeting that was scheduled for the January the 13th of 2021 for the courthouse. But also, at the same time, we could go ahead and add in the change of the board meeting to, what was the date, Katie, that we had, February the 8th?
February 8th. I think it's the second Monday, so it keeps it on a Monday.
So we're going to cancel the 13th and transfer the regular board meeting to the 8th.
Yes.
Yes.
You have to wait 30 days from today to enter the interim agreement, and that would be past February 1st. So that was to avoid having a continued meeting and try to keep as much business set on a regular meeting. That was what Lonzo and I talked about, instead of having 2 meetings.
So instead of having a meeting on the 1st and the 3rd, you think that, okay. All right, so do we have a motion for that?
Make a motion that we cancel or rescind the board meeting on the 13th of January, and that we also reschedule the regular board meeting to the 8th of February. The February board
Yes,
meeting
sir.
to the 8th of February.
At 6 p.m.
Right. So.
At 5.
I'm sorry, yeah. Thank you, guys, get caught. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
With Tim? Carl, Tim got that, thank you though. All right, all those in favor? Tim?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Horace?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last thing on the county administrator request is this for the Geotechnical Evaluation Services. The Russell County Courthouse expansion is from the Foundation Simpson Engineering Group. I need a motion for approval for the geotechnical on this. in the amount of $10,344 that came in today to proceed on the geotechnical services.
I'll make that motion.
Steve, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, David. All those in favor, Tim?
Yes.
Lou? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Boris?
Yes.
And Rebecca, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the county administrator reports and requests.
All right. Last thing we have here is matters presented by the board. Okay, Tim, do you have anything you need to say?
I do, I don't normally do, I'm not a fan of doing this at the end of the board meeting, but Mr. Kaiser's right. When I said I didn't feel good about voting on this right now, but I didn't want to put it off indefinitely. What I had in mind was to postpone it until the next meeting. We got to vote before that happened. What I would like to do is make the motion that the First Amendment sanctuary resolution be put on the agenda of the February Board of Supervisors meeting to be voted on at that time.
Lou?
There would need to be a second. He made the
What?
motion.
Oh, motion, I'm sorry. Okay, we have a second? Carl?
Can you repeat that again? I missed a couple words there.
I made the motion that we put the First Amendment sanctuary resolution on the agenda for the February meeting to be dealt with at that time.
So what he's saying is he wants to bring it up back up on this, hang on just a second, I got my glasses here, trying to get a picture. So what he's saying is he wants to bring it back up to the next meeting.
Yes, after we've all had a chance to review it.
To review, yeah,
Okay, on the,
first meeting,
on the first amendment, yes. Okay, yeah, I'll say.
okay. All right, so all those in favor? Tim?
Yes.
Lou?
With public comment.
Yes. Okay, with public comment. All right, Carl?
Yes.
David? Excuse me, Steve, I'm sorry.
Yes.
David?
Yeah.
Boris?
Well, no, we voted on, I didn't understand what's going on.
Okay. Tim made a motion to bring back up the First Amendment sanctuary resolution to be discussed and comment on at our next board meeting. And Carl seconded.
I guess it has to be that way.
Lonzo, can you tell him, can he hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and Oris, your vote?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Rebecca, yes.
And Madam Chair, just to, on Ms. Wallace's comment, if it is the board's desire, there are certain things we're obviously required to have a public hearing on, but I think you can have a public hearing on anything you wish to pass. If you would just like to set a public hearing for the First Amendment sanctuary, and that way it would be advertised in the paper as well. That's up to the board. It's not a requirement for that resolution.
All right. So those are all yeses. Carried.
And Madam Chair, I think that you asked for a public hearing on that, so that it will be advertised to all, and not just a few.
I think she said public comment, but I mean, to be advertised, it would be a public hearing. Again, there are certain things that you're
Public
required.
comment is what the motion is.
Well, no, actually, the motion was just to take it up. It was just something that she addressed. I mean, again, that's up to the board, but when she brought that up, you can certainly have a public hearing for any reason that you want to. There's just certain things that you're required to do before you can take action on.
All right. Luke, you have any comments here?
No.
All right, Steve?
No, ma'am, I have no comments.
David?
Well, I would like to, wish my wife a happy anniversary today, 29 years, and I blame the board for being here, so I just want to let her.
You're
Good luck.
looking for an excuse. Shame on
No,
you.
but, and I do have one question, I guess, to the county administrator. I know before we got elected to the board, there was some appropriations for funding for a new animal shelter. Where are we at on that? On the animal shelter, I know we got the land, we've done everything, and the money was actually appropriated before we took office. Is that money still there?
The money was appropriate, no, that only lasted that 1 year. Currently, we do have the land for and the right-of-way easements for the animal shelter, but that will also have to be run back up under the new budget.
Okay. That's all I got.
Horace, any comment?
No.
No, the only thing I have to say is, let's do remember all of our family and friends and relatives that we've lost. And remember that there is somebody, we've probably all been touched. Somebody we go to church with, somebody we went to school with. And let's be mindful of those folks and their families at this time. And with that, I will ascertain an adjournment and a motion that our next meeting is February the 8th, the next Monday here. So I will take a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Lou, a second.
Second.
Horace, everybody. All right, Tim.
Yes.
Lou. Yes. Carl.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
David. And Horace.
Yes.
And Rebecca. Yes. We are adjourned till February the 8th.